So please join me with the Mangalacharan and the Guru Pranam mantra. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Tadati Swaha Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajadam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajeevam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padhan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Suratau Pangor Mama Manda Matirgati Mat Sarvasva Padam Bojo Radha Madanamo Divya Grindaranya Kalpadrumadaha Srimat Ratna Gadao Simhasanasto Sriman Radha Srila Govinda Devo Prashtadi Vihi Sevyamana Smarami Sriman Rasa Rasarambi Vamsivata Statastitaha Karshan Venu Swaner Gopi Gopinata Sristumaha Bhakta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatadini Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiraye Astaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Slokir Bhaktir Bhavatir Naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Nigamakalpataror galitam phalam sukhamukaram mritadravya samhitam pibata bhagavadam rasam malayam muhuraho rasika bhuli bhavakaha Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. This is one of the prayers offered by Queen Kunti. The next one also. Nama Pankajanabhaya, Nama Pankajamaline, Nama Pankajanetraya, Namaste Pankajangre. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthavutle Srimati Bhakti Vinashana Visuddhaiti Namini Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayitim Girim Yatkripa Tamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. So Hare Krishna everyone. So welcome back to our Srimad Bhagavatam session today. It's auspicious Purushottama month. So it's my great fortune to speak the Bhagavatam. Uh, so therefore, today is chapter 8, prayers by Queen Kunti. So part 4, session 28. So we will just do a quick recap to help us to remember what we have covered in this chapter before. So in part 1, we talked about Kunti Maharani's prayers, right? Prarthana. Prarthana means prayer. So she begins her prayer by first of all glorifying the Lord. So darshan of the Lord. How the Lord's darshan is so wonderful. So there are different points she states about the wonderful features of the darshan of the Lord. Number one, Yogeshwara. She glorifies him as Yogeshwara, Yoga Ishvara, the great mystic, the greatest mystic. So what are the ways she glorifies him as Purusham Adyam Ishwaram, the supreme personality of Godhead, the original Adyam, original Purusham, supreme personality of Godhead, and the supreme controller. So in first of all, she establishes his position. That's the first thing she says. So in our, remember we talked about how prayers have three categories. So normally when we offer prayers to the Lord, there are three levels of three categories in which we offer prayers. And the first thing we should do is offer glorification. So this is called Sampararthanatmika. So that is glorification, right? We don't straight away request for benedictions or blessings. It's generally first we offer glorification. So like this, like how Kunti Maharani is saying. Then she says, Prakrite Param, you are the master of mystics, but and these are the various features of Yogeshwara. Prakrita Param, you are beyond material nature. The material energy, the three modes of material nature cannot catch you. You are beyond. Yeah? And then you are invisible, Alakshyam. The Supreme Lord is invisible. But at the same time, he is also Antar Bahir Avashtitam. He is everywhere. He is inside, outside, in everything. So this is greatest mystic, isn't it? The greatest magician, the greatest mystic person who can do all this. Usually like a magician, he can disappear and then he can appear in another place. So this is the greatest magician, the greatest mystic. And then she continues after that. You are Maya Javanikakchanam. Maya Javanikakchanam. Javanika means curtains. And Maya is like a curtain which covers which covers you. So therefore, nobody can understand you or see you because you are covered by the curtain of Maya. And you are therefore Agnya Dokshajam Avyayam. Agnya Josh Agnya Agnya Adokshajam. Adokshaja means cannot be known. He's one who cannot be known, Adoksaja. And by who he cannot be known? He cannot be known by those who are ignorant. Agnya. Agnya means ignorant. So always, Avyayam, always those who are ignorant cannot know the Supreme Lord. Like the atheist. The atheists who are avowed ignorant, they don't want to know about the Lord. They will forever not know about the Lord unless they get special mercy. Na lakshya se muddha drisha. So those who are foolish, right? They also cannot muddhas. Those who are foolish, they also cannot see the Lord. Na lakshya se, cannot see, cannot perceive the Lord. They cannot even conceive. And nato natya daro yata. And he's the greatest mystic, right? What he does, he performs various pastimes just like an actor acting in a drama. Nato natya dara. Natya dara means like a drama, right? So he acts like he acts in that way. So then Queen Kunti says, you are so amazing. You're Yogeshwara. Katam pasyame hi shriyaha. How can people like me, I'm just a simple woman, how can people like me get to know you? So here she is now expressing the second part of the prayer, which is called Dainya Vodika. Dainya Vodika means they express their humility, their position. So when we pray to the Lord, first we glorify the Lord, Samprarthanatmika. So these are the Samprarthanatmika verses. Then the second part is you are very great. When we go and beg, right? When somebody is a beggar, somebody first they will say, oh, you are so wonderful, you are so great, you are so, everything is there. But I am not so great. I am very fallen. You are very great, but I am very fallen. So in that way, they express their humble position. They acknowledge their humble position in front of the great personality. So that is called Dainya Vodika. So this kind of prayer. So here she is not proud. She's not egoistic, coming to see the Lord eye for an eye like that. She's taking a very humble stance. Say, I am just a simple woman. I cannot. She's Queen Kunti, But yes, I am still. How can people like me know you? And then the next point of a prayer comes. Even though you are so mystical, even though uh, you know ignorant and foolish people cannot understand you, and you're covered by the Maya Shakti, right? And you are acting just like an actor, difficult to understand. But still, you are the fortune of the Ananya Bhaktas. Those who are pure devotees, they can know you. How? Right? So therefore she says, Tata Paramam Sahanam. The Paramahamsas, they can know you. The Munis, they can know you. The Amalatmanams, those who are pure-hearted, though they can know you. So she glorifies the Lord in this way. And what do you do for them? Bhakti Yoga Vidanartam. You 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 you, you establish Bhakti Yoga to these people. You give Bhakti Yoga to them. So that is glorification. And then straight away, Kunti Maharani starts to expound about the mercy of the Lord. Oh, the Lord, you are so merciful. Though you are so mysterious, yet to these people you are always merciful. So then we have the lotus verse, the Nama Pankaja Nabhaya, Nama Pankaja Maline. So basically, she is glorifying the mercy of the Lord. And then she continues, oh, you are Krishna, you are the son of Nanda Maharaj. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya cha. That verse, she says. So you are even more than the Paramahamsas and the Amalatmas and the Munis. You are more merciful to your pure devotees. So your pure devotees, your bhaktas, like Vasudeva, Devaki, Nanda, Gopas, the cows, you are very, very merciful to them. You come directly and your leelas take part with them, and you enjoy beautiful pastimes with them. But she was talking about Devaki and Nanda, but Kunti Maharani says, but I think I am more fortunate than Devaki. So then she says, Devaki only saw you in the beginning and then towards the end, right? When you come to Mathura. Whereas you have been with us so many times. You came with us each time we have problems. So many difficulties we have gone through. And each time you came just to save us, just to guide us. So therefore she concludes, and because we have gone through so many difficulties, that's why you came, right? So therefore, let more difficulties come. Vipada. Vipada means difficulties. Let more calamities. Let more and more. Tatra, tatra. Let it come and come. All the calamities come. Because if calamities and miseries are, it means that I get to see you, then let the calamities come to me more and more. Because when I get Bhavato Darshanam, when I get your Darshanam, then what happens? Apunar Bhava Darshanam. I no longer get the darshan of the repeated births. When I get your darshan, that means I no longer get repeated births. So very beautifully she prays. This is the famous verse. So this verse, you can see I shaded it different color, yellow color. So this is the third component of a prayer. First component is glorification. Second component is expressing humility. right? And third component is finally coming to the point of what they want. So when you pray, right? So basically you ask for something also. So that asking for something is called lalasamai. But this lalasamai is not asking for something material. It is asking for a perfectional stage, a stage of perfection, right? Like, please bless me to become your devotee, right? Like that. So here Kunti Maharani is saying, let more and more troubles come so that I can always get your darshan. So this, like even in the Jagannath Astakam, Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Bhavatume. So that is your lalasamai. Let the Lord Jagannath, the Supreme Lord of the universe, always be the object of my vision. Right? That's the lalasamai part. So then she continues. The next point, you are achintya. So therefore, your qualities are so bewildering. Therefore, you're inconceivable. You're just plain mysterious, oh my Lord. You are inconceivable qualities. So mysterious qualities. What are the mysterious qualities? Then she says, Tvam kalam, you are time. No, isn't that very mysterious? You are eternal, time eternal. Right? You are time. Time as we understand, always there is a beginning and there is an end, isn't it? Right? So, but yet, though you are time, yet anadi nidanam, you are without end or without beginning. You are time, but at the same time, you are without end and you are without beginning. So this is like a mystery, two opposite things, right? And then she continues further. You are samam, you are always equal to everyone, right? In your mercy, kripa. But yet you are partial, vishama, not samam. So that's very interesting. We discussed all this in the part 2 of this chapter, right? You are equal like the sunshine, right? It gives equal sunlight to everyone, but at the same time, you are very partial to your devotees. And then you are having bewildering leelas. Your leelas, your pastimes are very, very amazing, bewildering. And you are vibhu. You are all great. You are so great. You are so large. You are so great. And yet, you behave like a human being. Iha manasya. Manasya means manusya, right? Manasya. So it's like, and iha means like. Though you are so great, you are vibhu, but yet you act like a human being. So this is very bewildering to me. And you have bewildering qualities. Not only your pastimes are bewildering, your qualities are also bewildering. Vimohana or vidambanam, bewildering, cannot understand. So, for example, you are aja. That means you cannot take birth. You are unborn. Aja means you are unborn. But yet you take birth, janma. You came as Lord Ram, you came as Krishna, right? So you came as Vamana, so therefore you take birth. But yet you are unborn. So this is bewildering. Oh. And then she says, you are akartu, and yet you are atmanaha. Akartu means you are the supreme inactive. Everybody in the universe has to work, but you don't have to work. All your energies does everything for you. But yet you are the soul and the vital energy of everything there is in this world. So very interesting. And then you are Vishwa Atman. You are the soul of the universe. And yet you descend amongst creatures like the animals. Tiryak. Tiryak means animals. Nir, the human beings, the rishis, the aquatics, the different species of life. You are the soul of the universe, and yet you come as different species in your leelas. And you are Bhaya Bhava. You show fear. You experience fear, and yet you are the nemesis for fear personified. Fear, if fear was to become a person, that fear itself is scared of you, but at the same time, you are scared of Mother Yashoda with a stick. So therefore, this is bewildering, the qualities. So then she continues, right, and goes on to talk about the next major point. She talked about darshan, the receiving the darshan of the Lord, glorification. Then she begins to speak about the avatars, the various, basically the Lord's, what he does as avatar. So there are reasons why he takes avatars. So the Kunti Maharani talks about her secondary reason. So there is primary reason and secondary reason. So the less important reason of why you become avatar and come. Avatar means from the spiritual world, they come down. The word avatar means to come down, to descend. So descend from where? Descend from the spiritual world. So that means avatar only refers to the form of the Lord within the material universe. That is avatar. So what are the secondary reasons? Then Kunti Maharani continues her glorification. Oh, you come just to glorify the pious kings, right? You take birth in the families of these kings just to glorify their family, their kulu, their kula. Like you took birth as Ramachandra, the Surya Vamsa is glorified. You took birth as Krishna, the Chandra Vamsa is glorified, right? So in this way, you came to glorify the kings. Like for example, you took birth in the Vrishni dynasty, then the entire dynasty is glorified. And then you came to save the devotees, Paritranam Sadhunam, Bhagavad Gita, right? You came just to please Yadu, the great ancestor of the Yadavas, the great king Yadu. Just to please him, you came in this dynasty. And you came just to please Vasudeva. Vasudeva and Devaki, they prayed for you to come as their son, and you came. And you came just because Bhuma Devi prayed to you. She couldn't bear the burden and she prayed to you. And you came just because Brahma, Atma Bhuva is Brahma, one who is self-born, right? So therefore, Atma Bhuva, Brahma prayed to you in the shores of the milk ocean, and you came just for him. And what else are the reasons you come? Vinashaya Chaduskritam. This is from the Bhagavad Gita also, right? You come to destroy the demons, to kill the miscreants. Or in Bhagavatam, it is particularly referred to as Sura Dvisham. Sura means the devotees, the divine, those who are divine, like the Devas, like the devotees, those who follow the order of the Lord. Those are Sura. Dvisham means those who are envious of these people. So that's demons, basically. So therefore, you come to destroy the envious and the demonic. So these are the secondary reasons. These are not the main reason. And then she continues. Yet, but the main reason, the real reason you come, O Supreme Lord, is simply because of your mercy. You come with the main purpose of rejuvenating bhakti. Why you come to rejuvenate bhakti? Because this is which is going to bring all the jivas in the material ocean back to the spiritual world. So this is your extraordinary costless mercy. Just to rejuvenate bhakti. By rejuvenating bhakti, what happens? Automatically, those who take to the path of bhakti, they attain mukti, mukti pade. They come to they attain liberation. Liberation waits at their feet. What do they get liberated from? They get liberated from karma. No more karma. All sins are destroyed. Nothing is going to keep us in this world. It liberates them from kama, material desires, conditioned material desires. It liberates the jivas from avidya, ignorance. So this is what bhakti can do. But this is also, it is just a side effect. It's not the main thing. The main thing is to rejuvenate bhakti, right? But this mukti pade is just a side thing that comes along with it. The real mercy of the Lord is to bestow padam bhujam, the lotus feet of the Lord. That is the goal of bhakti, to give prema bhakti, to give various grades of bhakti to the devotees, because that will bring them back to the spiritual world and ensure they remain in the spiritual world. Right? That is the difference. All right. So therefore, we stopped in this verse in the previous session. So this was the verse where Krishna is saying, Kunti Maharani is saying, "Oh Krishna, those who continuously hear, what is this bhakti? What is this bhakti? Those who continuously hear, that's the first component, continuously. Where's the verse? Abhikshanaha. Abhikshanaha means continuous. Those who continuously hear, chant, and repeat your transcendental activities, or those who take pleasure in others doing so, certainly see your lotus feet, which alone can stop the repetition of birth and death." So beautifully Kunti Maharani prays in this way. So we stopped with this verse, but I didn't have time to go through the purport by Srila Prabhupada. So today we will continue from here. So Prabhupada, from this verse, he's saying, remember how hearing is focused here, right? It begins with Shrinvanti Ghayanti, right? Continuously hear, chant, right? So Prabhupada then says, in spite of such hearing, chanting, etc., right? Sometimes it is experienced that the performer of such devotional service does not see the Lord face to face. Oh, okay, that's familiar. We have not seen the Lord face to face yet. So why? Prabhupada gives the reason. The reason is that the first item, Shravana is hearing. The first item is very important. If hearing from the right source, it acts very quickly. Therefore, first one should select a competent and bona fide speaker and then hear from him. See, we must remember, hearing Bhagavatam, hearing scripture about the Lord is not entertainment. Sometimes we think, oh, this person is very boring, or that person is so serious, or that person cracks a lot of jokes. Oh, he tells lots of interesting stories. It may not be stories which is based on scripture, but it may, it's entertaining. So sometimes we feel, oh, we hear for the sake of entertainment, and that is not real hearing. That is at the level of the mind only. We are simply doing it as a sense gratification. So of course it's better than nothing, but it's not serious hearing. So you can imagine Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, who else? Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. Do these people, do you think they sit and crack jokes in the Vyasasam? No. Hearing Bhagavatam, hearing scripture is serious matter. Right? So Prabhupada is always very serious when he gives classes. Of course, once in a while, one small thing, but one should always remember. So one should hear from the right sources. Then seriously, when one is seriously contemplating and hearing, because the purpose of hearing is for self-examination, right? To improve. So then it acts very quickly. Therefore, first one should select. So therefore, when pure devotees, we have Prabhupada's disciples, especially sannyasis and those disciples who have been for a long time in the movement, very steadfast, have done so much of service. So one should immediately take the opportunity to hear from them. So, and if one misses, that is really taking association. Therefore, first one should select a component and bona fide speaker and then hear from him. When the hearing process is perfect and complete, the other processes become automatically perfect in their own way. So you see, every other process of devotional service, including chanting, it depends on the hearing. Chanting is the Yuga Dharma which brings us back to Godhead, right? Which particularly in Kali Yuga. But chanting depends on hearing. If we don't hear properly, then the faith, right, in which we chant will never become what it should be. So there are different transcendental activities of the Lord, and each and every one of them is competent to bestow the desired result. So there's chanting, there's Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, so many 9 processes of bhakti. right? So all of them are competent. We can attain the Supreme Lord by all of them. But particularly in Kali Yuga, chanting is especially beneficial, but it depends on hearing. It begins with hearing. See here, provided the hearing process is perfect. So every other process, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Vandanam, Pujanam, all these things all depends on hearing. So this is the secret. So one has to train oneself to hear scripture seriously. And Prabhupada continues, one must hear about the Lord from the very beginning. It's not just that, oh, I only want to hear Radha Krishna pastimes. I want to hear the funny, funny ways in which Radharani plays tricks, or how Krishna plays tricks. Oh, it's so funny, ha ha ha. No. So, what Prabhupada says here, one should hear from the beginning, as in the Srimad Bhagavatam or any other scriptures, and that will help the hearer attain perfection by progressive development. One should not, therefore, consider that his dealings with the Pandavas are less important than his dealings with the gopis. So we must understand gopis and Radharani, these are the highest leelas. So if we don't hear the basic points, right? If we don't understand Krishna properly, then when we hear these very high leelas, we will not have the right consciousness. We will hear it in the wrong mood, in the wrong consciousness, and there will be offense somewhere. Because when the tattva, the philosophy is not perfected, then when we hear Radha Krishna pastime, there will be some offense somewhere. We will not understand properly. So, therefore, we should hear right from the beginning. Srimad Bhagavatam, therefore, the first canto and the second canto is known as the lotus feet of the Lord. The first canto and the second canto. So until we cover the first canto and second canto properly, right, we shouldn't jump straight to the 10th canto or the 9th canto. Of course, occasionally we may, but the point is we must have a continuous study from the beginning. Same thing with Bhagavad Gita also. Same thing with everything else. There's the way. Vyasadeva has purposely arranged the chapters, the progression of topics in such a way, simply by hearing it seriously, little by little, step by step, it will do things in our mind, it will do things in our soul, it will do things in our consciousness which we will not understand in the beginning. Slowly, 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 as we hear, right, then when we finally come to the 10th canto, we can really relish the real point of the Bhagavatam. But Prabhupada says they are all equally important, right? Therefore, Pandavas are great devotees, right? They are 100% pure devotees of the Lord, and we will hear more about them also. So now we are coming to the heart of Kunti Maharani's prayers. Kunti Maharani's long prayer, the entire chapter. Now we are coming closer to the heart. So here she prays, "Oh Prabhu, you have executed all duties yourself, Swakrita." So she's telling Krishna, whatever achievement we have got in this Mahabharata war, or whatever that we have achieved, is only by your mercy. Swakrita, by your energies. Everything in this universe is running, is being executed simply by your will. So you are the ultimate person who's in charge of everything. And we depend on you. Therefore, are you leaving us today? So Kunti Maharani is offering a plea to Krishna. Are you leaving us today? So here we see Darshan, Avatar, and now Kunti Maharani is offering surrender, Saranagati. How she's going to surrender, we will hear. Though we are Anujivanaha Bhavata Padam Bhujat Parayanam. Anujivana means we live only at your mercy. Our life is simply by your mercy. Whatever we gain, we get is by your mercy. So she's completely giving herself to the Lord. Anujivana. Bhavata Padam Bhujat. Pada, by your lotus feet. Pada Ambujat means lotus. pada, your padam bhuja, your lotus feet. Bhava means your lotus feet. We completely surrender. Parayanam. We are completely dependent on your lotus feet. So the Pandavas, including Kunti Maharani, they firmly clasp the lotus feet of the Lord in their hearts. And what are the lotus feet of the Lord again? Remember the first canto and the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So that has to be firmly captured in our heart, right? And of course, lotus feet of the Lord also refers to his mercy. It also refers to his pure devotees. So we should also clasp the pure devotees close to our heart. Now, you're leaving us today when we are so dependent on you, when everything is by your mercy. Now, when all kings are at enmity with us, so now that the war is over, so many people have that there's always in a war, there's always a victor and a loser, right? And those who have lost the war, right? Those who are still alive at least, the kings have all died maybe, but then they have the young princes, the family members, they are going to hate us. Usually the losers will keep a vengeance in their heart, right? When somebody loses something, they will keep some vengeance in their heart generally. Yeah? So therefore, when all these kings are at enmity with us, when there's so many people who may have still keeping some negativity against us, you are leaving us, O Supreme Lord. So therefore, she's praying. So Prabhupada gives nice purport here. So he's and by the way, this verse itself is also Dainya Vodika, humbly submitting oneself. You know, the second part, you are so great, Krishna, everything is done by your will, but we are always dependent on you. So therefore, humbly submitting herself. We are Anujivana. We are Parayanam. We are always dependent on your lotus feet. So Prabhupada is saying, you know, the concept of being dependent on another person is something which we cannot accept in the material world, isn't it? Prabhupada says in the material world, to be dependent on the mercy of someone else is the utmost sign of misfortune. So it's very funny the way Prabhupada writes it. The utmost sign of misfortune. So if we are very, very unfortunate, then we depend on someone for everything, right? So that is the utmost sign of misfortune. That's why everybody wants to be independent, freedom. So therefore, in our lives, we do so many things because we are dependent on people, right? So this is a picture of an employer and employee. The employee always has to please the boss because he's dependent on the boss, whether the boss is in a good mood or a bad mood, because the boss is paying him, maintaining him. And if unfortunate, then the boss tells him, okay, now you have to leave. So then he becomes very sad. So the material disease is due to thinking of becoming independent of everything. So because of this, in our experience, we've always had bad people or people who have misused their position. And we have not felt happiness out of this, being dependent on another person. Usually we don't feel happiness being dependent on another person. That's the material disease. Huh? So those who try to become falsely independent of the Lord are called anada. You know, this is also a word which we use in Tamil. Anada. Anada means one who is without parent or one who is without guardian. Nobody is there to take care of you. So Prabhupada is saying, if we falsely try to be independent in this world, how? That means we reject the mercy of the Lord and we want to be the controller. We do everything we can to be the top person in the world. Then we are called anada. We are without any guardian because we have rejected the Supreme Lord. Whereas Prabhupada says, those who are completely dependent on the will of the Lord are called not anada, but sanada. Sanada means those having someone always to protect them. So anada means no protection. Sanada means always being protected. So that is what the position the Lord takes to those people who completely depend on Him. He becomes their guardian. So, for example, you can see this picture, Draupadi. When Draupadi raised her hand, completely defeated, her powerful husbands could not protect her, right? The great grandfather who she always served so nicely, Bhishma Dev, could not protect her. And then she looked at also Dronacharya, the great Brahmana guru, the guru of the dynasty, right? Very powerful Muni. He could not protect her. And then he looked at Dhritarashtra, the king, supposed to be the king of the greatest kingdom in the world. He could not protect her. And she tried to protect herself, and she could not protect herself. And when she finally surrendered to the Lord, right, then the Lord gave complete protection, sanata, nothing and nobody, right? That's a saying, isn't it, in Hindi? Krishna Mare, I don't know, but Krishna, anybody knows that one? The Rake Ke Mare Ke was, it's a Hindi saying. Basically, it means if Krishna wants to kill someone, no one can protect him. Krishna killed Hiranyakashipu, Krishna killed Ravana. Lord Shiva couldn't protect Ravana because Ravana was Lord Shiva's disciple. And then the king of Kasi also couldn't be protected. So whoever Krishna wants to kill, they will die. But at the same time, whoever Krishna protects, no one in the world can defeat them. No one in the world can kill them. Look at the Pandavas. So, for example, here, Duryodhana sent Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni is known for cursing people. So, Duryodhana purposely sent Durvasa Muni to the house of the Pandavas with his 1,000 disciples, telling Durvasa Muni that the Pandavas will receive your 1,000 disciples and serve you very nicely. And purposely, he told them to go during a time when he knows it will be past lunchtime, 3 o'clock. Imagine we get a sudden guest coming at a time where already lunch is finished, all the food is almost finished. So Draupadi would wait until the Pandavas finish eating. Then only finally what's left in her pot. She has a special pot called Akshaya Patra. And this pot will always give food continuously until she eats for the day. So the moment Draupadi eats from that pot, then the pot will be empty for the day. So after everybody was eaten, then Draupadi ate and the pot became empty. Then they heard Durvasa Muni is coming to their house. So then it became a big panic. Oh, how are we going to cook for all of them? We don't have facilities. Durvasa Muni is going to curse us. And already we are living in this way. Even more we are going to be. So in this way, they prayed to the Supreme Lord. And the Supreme Lord immediately came. Krishna, though he was living far away in Dwaraka, somehow he immediately came there and then he saved the situation. So in this way, the Pandavas are always protected. So Prabhupada says, the Pandavas are a very good example. They are the most fortunate because with all good luck, so Prabhupada calls the Pandavas the most fortunate. Now, in a material perspective, the Pandavas may not look very fortunate. They lost their kingdom, they are living in the forest, right? So what is so fortunate about them? What is so fortunate about their position? They lost their father at an early age. They were completely under the mercy of Dhritarashtra, living in fear. So how are they fortunate? They were fortunate because they were entirely dependent on the mercy of the Lord. And because of that, the Lord completely gave himself to them. Right? So there is a beautiful verse in the 6th canto. The 6th canto, I just wanted to capture that verse over here. Tvam aham iti mama taveti cha. So the verse says, the pure devotees of the Lord, they see Krishna as theirs. Krishna is mine. Krishna is theirs. And to Krishna, Krishna sees them as his. So it's a very beautiful relationship. The devotee sees Krishna as my own, and the Lord also sees the devotees as his own. So here is a very beautiful pastime. So you can see Krishna, he gave a promise that he will not fight in the Mahabharata war. So he will not take up weapon. That is his promise. So Bhishma Dev knew that, and after being pestered by Duryodhana, Bhishma Dev gave a promise. He gave a promise that today I will fight in such a way that either no, nothing can save the Pandavas unless the Lord himself comes and breaks his promise. So and Bhishma wanted that to happen. So Bhishma in his heart, he wanted to the whole world to see how the Lord is willing to break his promise to save his devotees. And nobody could do this other than Bhishma, because Bhishma was such a powerful person. He fought with Parashuram and came to a draw, right? So only Bhishma could do this. So he could fight the Pandavas in such a way that the Pandavas come to danger. The Pandavas here, so Arjuna's life was in danger because Arjuna was not really fighting fully yet, because Bhishma, he always, when he looked at Bhishma, he couldn't bring himself to fight fully against Bhishma because, he loves Bhishma. But then Bhishma, he knew that nothing can harm the Pandavas. So he fought in such a way that Arjuna would have suffered grievous injury. So Krishna, he knows, he's Paramatma. He knew what Bhishma Dev was thinking. So, and therefore, he immediately stepped down and he lifted the wheel of a chariot and rushed towards Bhishma Dev. So in this beautiful picture, it's a beautiful picture of this verse. I am yours, you are mine. You can see here, Arjuna is holding on to Krishna because Arjuna didn't want Krishna to break his promise just for his sake. Arjuna is thinking, oh, just for my sake, I don't want your name to be ruined. People will say you break promise. So therefore he was holding on to Krishna. Oh Krishna, don't do this, don't do this. But Krishna, he was rushing towards Bhishma because he wanted to show, no matter what happens, I am even willing to break my own promise, but never will I not protect my devotees. So that's why, he is called Bhakta Vatsala, and he is always known as infallible, Achyuta, right? Especially when it comes to Bhakta Vatsala. So Arjuna is rushing towards, and at the same time, he's pleasing Bhishma, and Bhishma is pleasing Krishna because Bhishma also wanted Krishna to do this, and he wanted to also see, he always cherished in his heart because he's a warrior, and he wanted to see this. There's one kind of rasa called chivalrous rasa. This rasa is, he wants to see Krishna as a warrior, coming towards him and fighting as a warrior. So it's one type of rasa, chivalrous, warrior rasa. So he wanted to experience that. And knowing this desire in Bhishma's heart, Krishna wanted to satisfy his desire. So in this way, Krishna is satisfying Bhishma's desire, and he is also showing how much he loves Arjuna. To protect his devotee, is willing to break his promise, and he's showing to the world what he's willing to do to protect his devotees. Right? So, Tvam aham iti mama kaveti cha. I am yours. So Arjuna is thinking, you are mine, Krishna. Bhishma is thinking, you are mine, Krishna. And Krishna is thinking, you are mine, Arjuna. So very, very beautiful. So, but at the same time, Prabhupada is saying, they are not idle parasites. The devotee is, just because they are dependent, just because everything they are dependent on the Lord, doesn't mean they are idle parasites. Simply, drinking the blood of Krishna, they're being lazy and doing nothing else. Krishna will provide. I don't have to do anything. So that is not the idea. They were all highly qualified both by personal character and by physical activities. So endeavor and mercy. One cannot simply not do any endeavor and expect the Lord's mercy. One has to earn that mercy. One has to show the Lord our sincerity. How can we show our sincerity to the Lord? The way to show our sincerity to the Lord is by our endeavor. Endeavor for what? Endeavor for personal character, sadachar, getting the proper etiquette, attitude, and at the same time, right, our sadhana, chanting, and all this. So this is the processes of bhakti, devotional practice. So this is basically how we can show our sincerity to the Lord. So in this way, they were always dependent, just like a fish. A fish can be a great looking fish. It can be a big fish. No matter how wonderful the fish is, without water, the fish is nothing. You know, we see recently, I read in the news, 10 whale, I mean, hundreds of whales, they came and beached themselves in somewhere in Europe. They came to the beach and they got stranded in the beach. They beached themselves. So though they are so powerful in the sea, but when they came to the beach, they couldn't move. They were just lying there just like that. So just like this fish here, cannot do anything. So in that way, it's not that the devotees are helpless, but their consciousness is such that they are as dependent as how the fish is dependent on the water. They are dependent like that towards the Lord. Their consciousness is like that. They feel nothing I can achieve. I am nothing. I am nothing without the mercy of Guru and Krishna. So they are always thinking that way. So then only shelter. Right? They see the Lord as only shelter. So Prabhupada continues, instead of becoming falsely independent in the material world, the highest achievement of perfect civilization is to work with valor. That means we work properly, we work with full effort, but at the same time depend completely on the Lord. So that's basically, karma yoga, isn't it? We read from Bhagavad Gita, right? We put our full effort without laziness, without a lethargy, right? Completely depending on the Lord. So the devotees are always with the Lord. They are always performing devotional service of the Lord. So therefore, those devotional service has to be done with full enthusiasm also. But if the Lord tells them, okay, you need to do this work, right? Then they also see it as devotional service and they put their full effort. They don't say, oh, Krishna, you are all powerful. I don't have to do anything. I'll just move about. You are going to get everything done anyway. In fact, Krishna told Arjuna, isn't it, in the Bhagavad Gita? He told, I am time. All these people are already killed by me. Instead, become my instrument. You be the instrument of my will. They are all dead anyway. So you can either get eternal glory by being my instrument or otherwise, if you don't want to. You can decide. So therefore, the highest achievement is to become an instrument of the Lord. So that doesn't mean one just, does something chinchai, not properly doing it. We take the greatest effort. Prabhupada took so much of effort to build the Krishna consciousness movement. He didn't just simply shake his legs and everything will happen. Krishna will make everything happen. So much of effort he put, and that is his sincerity. That is his offering to the Lord, and the Lord reciprocated. Right? Just like the Pandavas. So these are very nice purports here. That's why I'm sharing it here. So we continue with the heart of Kunti Maharani's prayer. So Kunti Maharani is saying, right, as the name and fame of a particular body is finished with the disappearance of the living spirit. When a human person, when he's alive, he may become very famous, very powerful, right? But when he dies, nothing, gone. For a few hundred years, they will remember, and then that's it, finish. So as the name and fame of a particular body is finished with the disappearance of the living spirit, similarly, right? If you do not look upon us, all our fame and activities, along with the Pandavas and the Yadus, will end at once. Now, this doesn't mean that Kunti Maharani is attached to the name and fame, and because of that, she's asking Krishna to stay. No, she is saying this simply to tell Krishna that all of this is because of you only. You are the cause of our fame. You are the cause of our name, gain, anything. And when you go, all this also will end. And she knows this as a fact. And she's not simply saying it just because she's attached to the name fame. She's just saying this to Krishna as an actual fact. She's saying this is the real situation, right? You are the soul of existence, right? You're the living entity, you're the soul of all living entities in this universe. Vishwa Atma. Remember the word was used, Vishwa Atma. So Kunti Maharani is praying like that. So sometimes we become proud of our prestige, of our power. We who are so small, right? Sometimes we get puffed up. The Pandavas had the entire earth in their hand. Kunti Maharani is the queen mother of the entire world. But yet, this is how she prays to the Supreme Lord. And then she continues, "O Gadadhar, O holder of the mace, our kingdom is now being marked by, our kingdom is now being marked by your lotus feet. Tvat pader, by your feet, bhati, which is illuminating, which is amazing, and amazing with your good qualities. Dazzling. Your good qualities are so dazzling, and they are and these dazzling qualities are being imprinted on the kingdom. Wherever you step, you leave your footprints, right? And therefore, wherever you step, it appears beautiful. Sobhishyate. Anywhere you walk, our kingdom is blessed by your footprints. And because of your wonderful qualities, you leave those wonderful qualities in wherever you step. And then she's lamenting, but when you leave, it will no longer be so. So again, this is not to show that she's attached to all this. She's again giving full credit to Krishna as the reason and the cause of everything. Whatever good fortune, you see how these Pandavas, Kunti Maharani, when there was misfortune, when there was difficulties, never once they attributed it to Krishna. They took it upon themselves. But whenever there is good fortune, completely they dedicate it to the Supreme Lord. It's only because of you. But they never say, misfortune also is because of you. Not only fortune, misfortune also because of you. They never said that. In fact, they said, let more and more misfortune come, because then I can see you all the time. So she's expressing her feeling that Lord Krishna is our only maintainer. Our life depends not on money, not on wealth, not on medicines, not on doctors, nothing. Ultimately, it depends on the Supreme Lord. So that is our only maintainer. So we have to come to this platform. So Bhagavatam is full of stories and full of prayers of great personalities and even simple personalities, which will help to develop that faith, that we can also have the faith like how Kunti Maharani is having. So this is what we can have when we read the Bhagavatam. At the end of the Bhagavatam, after we've read everything, we should develop faith like how Kunti Maharani is developing. And then she continues, all these cities and villages are all flourishing. All wonderful opulence is there in full because of you, right? So she says, all these cities, the villages are flourishing. Why? Because the herbs and the grains are in abundance. Now she's telling nice tattva, right? When do cities flourish? Villages and cities become prosperous. What is the cause of prosperity? Not because of industrial revolution 4.0, not because of automation, not because of artificial intelligence, right? It flourishes when there are plenty of food, herbs, grains in abundance. Now India has stopped export of rice temporarily, so rice prices are going up, and the world is worried. Oh, where are we going to get food? Oh, Ukraine has stopped grain. India has stopped rice. Where are we going to get? So, despite all their modern achievements, despite all their everything, finally it all boils down to food. So, because the herbs and grains are in abundance, so this is the cause of true prosperity. What else? Because the trees and are full of fruits. So herbs, medicines are there, food, grains are there, trees are fruits. So very, very nice, tasty, delicious things are there. So Prabhupada is saying human prosperity flourishes by natural gifts and not by gigantic industrial enterprises, which only creates godless civilization. This is the result of industry. Industry creates godless civilization. It causes the destruction. Why it creates godless civilization? Because it causes the destruction of the noble aims of human life. Because industry is the playground of the hardworking fools. There are four types of people: the lazy intelligent, the hardworking intelligent, the hardworking fool, and the lazy fool. Amongst these four, the lazy fool is the most dangerous. Sorry, the hardworking fool is the most dangerous. Not the lazy fool. Huh? The hardworking fool is the most dangerous. Think about that. Why the hardworking fool is dangerous and not the lazy fool? Is because the hardworking, because he has so much of energy, he cannot sit still. And because he's foolish, he doesn't know what is good, what is bad, and he has to do something about his energy. He does all the things which is bad for the humans. So industry is like that. It creates a lot of things to do, but all these things are unnecessary. It takes up the energy. So Prabhupada says, it causes the destruction of the noble aims of human life. Human life becomes running early in the morning, work. Oh, this has to be done, that has to be done. So there is no longer any time for the noble aim of human life. Spending time with family, doing good things, charitable things, pursuing spiritual realization, taking care of one's health. So all these things become much, much, much secondary. This is what happens. So Prabhupada is saying, the more we go on increasing such troublesome industries to squeeze out the vital energy of the human being, so that's what they do. They take our time and they squeeze you. They squeeze us until we got no more energy, no more time, no more, interest for anything else. Only our job, what we have to do. We can't do anything else otherwise. So that is what it does. So Prabhupada says, the more we engross in increasing such troublesome things, there will be more and more unrest and dissatisfaction of the people in general. So that's fact, right? The more we attempt to exploit material nature to lord over it, the more we want to become the master of nature according to our whims of enjoyment, the more we shall become entrapped by the reaction of such exploitive attempts. So there's always reactions. The more we exploit, the more we exploit. We think we are powerful, we think we are gaining, but Maya is always smarter than us. She is expert in tricking us all the time. So everything that every single invention of humanity has always led to a negative reaction. There is all, of course, you can say there are good things also, but there are always negative things that comes with it, which only takes time before it becomes another big problem by itself. For example, fossil fuels, right? In the 1847, fossil fuel was mined big time, and all the countries in the world became very rich. Saudi Arabia from a desert became a very, very rich country. Malaysia also became very rich because they found petroleum. So then automobile industry, transportation industry, all the industries basically became very strong due to the presence of fossil fuel. But it's creating a lot of problem. In the early generation, it didn't create a problem, but now it's coming slowly, slowly, becoming worse and worse. So then climate change. So now they're shifting to electric vehicles, but they don't realize electric vehicle is also going to create another big problem. Electric vehicle uses a lot of rare earth minerals. These rare earth minerals are very, very poisonous. So mining them and getting rid of these batteries are a big problem. Now we don't see it so much, but in another 10, 20, 30 years or so, we will see this as another major problem. So therefore, always there is an issue, a reaction. So the rivers are flowing. Kunti Maharani continues, the hills are full of minerals and the oceans are full of wealth. So all this grows abundantly. These are all gifts of the Lord. And Kunti Maharani expresses that. And this is all due to your glancing over them. Tava Vikshita, by your glance, everything is prosperous, everything is abundant. So Prabhupada says, very important point here. What we need, therefore, if we want to experience all this material prosperity, if we want material prosperity, then what do? So Prabhupada says, what we need is therefore to be obedient to the laws of the Lord and achieve the perfection of human life by devotional service. Simply by being obedient to the laws of the Lord. What are the laws of the Lord? We will find them in the scriptures. For example, no meat eating, no killing, right? Upholding mercy, no gambling, upholding truthfulness, no intoxication, upholding austerity, no illicit sexual activities, upholding cleanliness. So based on these pillars, these are following instructions of the Lord. And then, of course, we follow whatever other instructions the Lord gives, and automatically our life becomes auspicious. So then the very famous prayer after this, very nice, they're coming more and more to the heart of Kunti Maharani's prayers. Atha Vishvesha Vishvatman Vishvamurte Swakeshu me Sneha Pasham Imam Chindi Dridam Pandushu Vrishnisu. So very beautiful prayer here. So Kunti Maharani says, O Vishva Isha, O Lord of the universe. Isha means Lord, Vishva means universe. O Vishva Atman, O soul of the universe. O Vishva Murte, O personality of the form of the universe. She's now asking for something. Lala Samai, right? She's praying for something. What is she praying for? Sever my Sneha Pasam. Chindi. Chindi means cut, sever. Sever my, what she wants Krishna to cut. Krishna, she's asking Krishna to cut Sneha Pasam. Sneha Pasam means the knot. Pasha means knot. The knot. What kind of knot? The knot of affection. Cut away this knot of affection, which is so deep, dridam, which is so deeply enmeshed in me, towards my family. Who are her family? The Pandushu and the Vrishnisu. The Pandavas and the Vrishnis. Because Kunti Maharani is coming from Krishna's family, right? From the Vrishnis. But at the same time, she is also the mother of the Pandavas. So she has equal affection to both. She's affectionate to her mother's side, the Vrishnis, and she's also affectionate to the Pandavas. And she's torn. She's thinking, oh Krishna, if I ask you to stay, then those people, the Vrishnis who are staying in Dwaraka, they are waiting for you. They are missing you so much. I will cause pain to the Vrishnis, who are also my family. But if you go to Dwaraka, then you are causing pain to me, to us, to the Pandavas. So I don't know what to do. Which one, you stay or go? Both are causing pain. So please, therefore, cut off Chindi, cut off this Neha Passion, cut away this knot of affection I have for my family members. Very interesting prayer, right? So this is her request, Lala Samai. She's requesting, right? What is she requesting? Cut off my affection. So Prabhupada explains, to cut off all family affection means to broaden the field of activities. So that means when we cut the affection in our heart, we start to think of others more also. You know the concept of Vasudeva Kudumbakam. So when we are so family oriented, we always think my family, your family, no, my family first. But when the affection for that reduces, then we will start to see the world also as family. Not just my family because I'm attached to my body, right? But also the extended family, the whole world, all living beings as the family. Vasudeva Kudumbaka. So Prabhupada says to cut off family affection means to broaden the field of activities. Without doing this, no one can be qualified as a Brahmana, a king, a public leader, or a pure devotee of the Lord. So we'll explain this a little bit more. So what does that mean? Does that mean we cut off all our affection? No more families? Become sannyasis? Yes and no. So that is the point. Yes and no. Here it is saying that if one wants to hold a position, right, particularly a Brahmana or a king or a public leader, there must be renunciation. Otherwise, they cannot execute their duties. You know, if somebody comes and threatens your family, then they will become a slave. Like somebody is a king, and then all they have to do is come and threaten the family of the king, or like a minister. You're a minister, and somebody comes and flatters the family of the minister or threatens the family of the minister. Then the minister is bought. He cannot execute his duty purely because of the affection. So just like how, in this way, the Lord showed the example. You know, he came as Lord Ramachandra. Lord Ramachandra and Sita Devi, they got married very nicely, right, in Mithila. And then Prabhupada says here, the personality of Godhead as an ideal king showed this by example. Sri Ramachandra cut off the tie of affection for his beloved wife to manifest the qualities of an ideal king. Duty first, right? So a king's position, one cannot hold personal relationship. Of course, he was very pained. So, but what to do? Just to ensure that he is the rightful king, right? When the Dobi person said that Sita is already, she went to another man's house, so therefore I'm not like that Rama, you know, who accepted her back. So Ramachandra immediately realized, if he cannot respect me in this way, how can he respect me as a king? And if he cannot have respect for the king, then that is bad for the kingdom. So then one cannot become an ideal king. So just to prove that point as an ideal king, she showed the example. One must be ready, especially people who are in position such as king, a brahmana, right, like that. So one has to be ready to act for the right activity, not simply because they are trapped by affection. One has to be fearless to speak the truth. One has to be fearless to act for the benefit of society without considering personal attachment. So therefore, Sita Devi had to be kept in the forest. So Sita Devi was put in the forest, Eventually, she went to the ashram of Valmiki, and then she stayed with Valmiki's ashram, and she never met Lord Ram again after that. So Lord Ramachandra showed this example. We also have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's example. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas, right, and broke the heart of uh, Vishnu Priya, right? Vishnu Priya, 16-year-old girl, got married. Within a year, her husband took sannyas, and she lived for up to the age of 80 something. So almost 3/4 to almost fully her life, 70 years she lived as a widow, right? And this is the deity of Dameshwar Mahaprabhu. This is the deity Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave to Vishnu Priya, his wife, before he took sannyas. He said, I am always yours. So therefore, this image of this deity, the arms are always extended in front like this, showing that I am yours. So it's very painful, but therefore the Lord showed this example. He showed his renunciation, and he set an example that one has to, if it's necessary, one has to sever attachments, right, for the right cause, if it's necessary. So Prabhupada also had to go through this. So therefore Prabhupada says, this is a picture of Prabhupada, this is Prabhupada, and then he had his children, right? I think 6 or 7 children he had, and then this is his wife. So therefore it is sometimes experienced that the Lord, out of his special affinity towards a weak devotee, breaks the family affection by force of circumstance arranged by his all-powerful energy. So sometimes when he sees his devotee being too attached, but at the same time he is trying to take up devotional service very, very seriously. So sometimes for special devotees, he makes this arrangement. So Prabhupada also took sannyas. He left home, and because he took sannyas, he was able to execute fully the mission of the Lord. So like that, we have many sannyasis in our ISKCON society. By doing so, he causes the devotee to become completely dependent on him. Just like Narada Muni. Remember Narada's story also? His mother died when he was 5 years old. He had no other person to depend on. But after his mother died, he completely depended on the Supreme Lord. So then his journey towards pure devotional service took place. So that is, but we should understand these relationships that we have are all temporary, right? Because we actually have nothing to do with each other. We are the spirit soul. And in a particular life, we have a particular relationship, we have a particular attachment. But once we die, it all goes away. And then in the next life, we have different relationships again with different people. So it's all temporary. In fact, Narada Muni explains in somewhere in one of the cantos in Bhagavatam, he tells Maharaj Chitraketu, I think, Maharaj Chitraketu, that family relationship is just like, in a river. In a river, sometimes leaves and twigs, they float together, and then they all clump up together in one place, and they float together for a while. After that, suddenly they all split apart, and they float separately on their own. And then again, they may clump together again with different leaves, with different twigs, and then again they separate again. So as the river continues flowing, the leaves separate, they clump, they separate, they clump. So it keeps happening again and again. So we have to understand the actual position of what we are. And anyway, these things are inevitable. These things are going to happen anyway, right? Because no relationship is eternal in the material world. So therefore, we have to understand these things philosophically so that we can focus. So because Prabhupada did this sacrifice, we have the International Society of Krishna Consciousness. So Kunti Maharani continues, why is she saying this, right? Why such a strange request, isn't it, for a woman especially? Now, generally, women, they have very strong attachments to family. Relationships are very strong for women generally. The renunciation is stronger in men compared to women generally. Of course, there are exceptions, but still, you can see the exception is Kunti Devi. Look what she's praying. Why does she want to sever her relationship with her family? So Krishna, I mean, people may say, why? So she says here, Twayi me ananya vishaya matir madhupate asakrit ratim udvahatad adha gange bhaugam udanvate. Why? Why am I asking for this severing of my relationship? Because, oh Madhupate, oh Lord of sweetness, as the Gange Vaugam Udanvatim, as the Ganga flows to the sea without hindrance. So this is the Ganga, you can see here. Ganga has many, many tributaries towards this is the sea. So as it flows unhindered towards the sea, in the same way, let my attraction, Rati is attraction. Let my attraction towards you, O Madhupate, O Lord of sweetness, let my attraction towards you constantly be drawn unto you without being diverted to anyone else. So this is why she's praying. She doesn't want to be distracted. She doesn't want to be distracted by attraction or attachment to anyone else. She wants it to be only 100% focused on the Supreme Lord. So she's asking for very high level of detachment. So it's very, very nice, beautiful prayer. Remember in Bhagavad Gita also, Vyavasayatmika Buddhi Ekeha Kuru Nandana. Those who are in this path, their faith is fixed. Their intelligence is always single focused, not many focused, single focused. If it's many focused, then it's very dangerous. Right? So therefore, she's praying something in the same vein also. So Prabhupada explains here. Now, don't get scared. To cut off the tie of all other affection does not mean complete negation of the finer elements like affection for someone else. Oh, it doesn't mean that we become renounced, means we become like a robot. Oh, I no longer love you. I no longer care for you. I got no more affection for you. No, that is not the Vaishnava way. That is the Mayavada way, right? So the Vaishnava way is slightly different. The renunciation, remember, prapanchikata buddhi. So the complete renunciation is not to cut off everything. It is to take everything and connect it with the Supreme Lord. That is the real renunciation. So therefore, Kunti Maharani is praying not because she wants to become a robot. She wants Krishna to direct everything towards the Supreme Lord. Let the affection that she's having for the Pandavas and the Vrishnis not be because of body, or because of the skin, because I'm born by this family, but let the connecting factor be Krishna. Because Krishna took birth in the Vrishni dynasty, I'm affectionate towards the Vrishnis. Because Krishna is affectionate to the Pandavas, therefore I'm related to the Supreme Lord. Okay, so Prabhupada will explain this. Let's read. To cut off the tie of all other affection does not mean complete negation, like affection for someone else, because this is a symptom of life. We cannot artificially repress it. That's the mechanical path of the jnanis. Very difficult. So the symptoms of life, such as desire, anger, hankering, feelings, attraction, just like everything else, cannot be annihilated. Only the objective has to be changed. So we have to change the objective. Just like Prabhupada also, even after Prabhupada took sannyas, this person here, this is Prabhupada's son, Vrindavan Chandra De. This is the youngest son of Prabhupada. When Prabhupada left for the US on the Jaladuta, none of the family members came except this Vrindavan Chandra, the youngest son. He came. he came to say goodbye to Prabhupada, and he told that 40 rupees that Prabhupada had, he gave it to me. He said, wherever I'm going, this 40 rupees is going to do nothing for me. You take it and you do something for the family, right? So therefore, Prabhupada actually went to America penniless, not even with 40 rupees. That 40 rupees which he had, he gave it away to Vrindavan Chandradev, the son. He mentioned this in an interview. And then Radhanath Maharaj asked Vrindavan Chandradev once, this son, what was your feeling when your father was leaving on the ship, when you saw your father going on the ship? And then Vrindavan Chandra, with tears in his eyes, he said, I was very proud of my father. So this is the sentiment. So anyway, the point is, Prabhupada did meet his son also later, even after he came back from India. But he was not attached to the son due to family attachment, because the son was also taking up devotional service to some extent. So because of that, he was still speaking with the son. So the objective has changed. So even though there is a relationship, but still now the the relationship is based on Krishna. So if we have a husband, this is Krishna's gift to me. Therefore, I will serve Krishna through my husband. Or if I have a wife, I will serve Krishna by taking care of my wife. Or if I have children, so everything is related to Krishna. So we have to learn to see our relationship with all our family members or with anybody else by putting Krishna in the center. So that is the idea. So Prabhupada explains, our attention is usually diverted to the service of something which is non-godly or not in the program of the Lord. When the program is changed into the service of the Lord, that is to say, when the senses are purified in relation with the service of the Lord, it is called pure, unalloyed devotional service. So we have to put Krishna in everything, in all the picture, right? Just like the Pandavas, even after hearing Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna, when Abhimanyu was killed, Arjuna was very disturbed. He was crying. So it didn't mean that he gave up after hearing Bhagavad Gita directly from Krishna, he became a robot. No. So there was still affection. The symptoms of life were there. Anger, hankering, feelings of attraction, all these things are still there. But they are no longer related to one's own desire or for one's own sense gratification. It is now connected to the purpose and the will of the Lord for the service of the Lord. Abhimanyu was doing such wonderful service for the Lord. That's why, in our Smriti Sabhas, when devotees leave their body, we have Smriti Sabhas. What do we speak in a Smriti Sabha? What is the most soothing thing for us in a Smriti Sabha? The most soothing thing is when someone says how wonderfully this person, when he was alive, he did this service for Krishna, or he did that service for Krishna. Isn't that the most soothing thing, right? So that is the idea. So we have to be connected to, in this way we miss that person, but we miss that person in connection with Krishna. So that is the idea behind devotional service, right? It's not relation of the skin. Krishna is the binding factor here. So Prabhupada left and went to the West. He left few sons, but he came back with so many other sons from the West. All of these became the sons and daughters of Srila Prabhupada. So the Lord reciprocates in amazing ways. So now Kunti Maharani concludes her prayers. If I may just take another 5 minutes, I will finish this chapter. So Kunti Maharani concludes her prayers, and then she says, "Oh Sri Krishna, oh Krishna Saka, oh friend of Arjuna." Krishna Saka means friend of Arjuna. Arjuna is also sometimes called Krishna because they look almost alike. So therefore, Krishna Saka, Saka means friend. Oh Sri Krishna, oh Krishna Saka, friend of Arjuna. Oh Vrishni Rishabha, oh protector of the Vrishnis, chief of the Vrishnis. Rishabha means chief. Chief and protector of the Vrishni dynasty. or my family. You are the destroyer of those rebellious Rajanya Vamsa. You destroy all those rebellious kings. So Kunti Maharani is in other words, praying to Krishna. She asked to sever her affection, right? So she's saying, yes, you will destroy all obstacles. Oh Krishna, just like you killed all the Rajavamsas, the rebellious Rajavamsas, in this way, destroy my obstacles. She's praying to the Lord. Destroy my obstacles so that I can flow, my mind can flow like the Ganga towards the sea, towards your lotus feet, unhindered. You are the destroyer of those Raja Vamsa, which are disturbing elements of this earth. Your virya, your fame never deteriorates. So indirectly, she's telling Krishna, therefore you must also do this for me, right? Because your fame is never deteriorating. So you will also be famous for this, for removing my affection. So then she prays, oh Govinda, proprietor of Goloka. So the word Govinda also means one who gives pleasure to the senses. It also means the proprietor of Goloka, one who's the master of Goloka. You descend to relieve the distress of the cows, of the Dvijas, the Brahmanas, and the Suras, the devotees. So please do the same for me. So she's praying in this way, right? And then she says, you are Yoga Ishvara and you are Akhila Guru. You are Bhagavan. Yoga Ishvara means you are the possessor of all mystic power. So again, she's summarizing. She's summarizing, you are mysterious, you are mystical, you are the most amazing person, and you are the Guru of all the universe. Akhila Guru, Guru of the universe. And you are Bhagavan. Final word, you are Bhagavan. Finish. And then she says, I offer you my namaste. I offer you my obeisances. So in this way, she concludes her amazing prayer. So what she did, she glorified, she expressed her humility in front of the Lord, how that she's only a simple woman, how everything is due to the mercy of the Lord, how all the opulence is coming from the Lord only. And then she prayed for the Lord, please give me more and more trouble so I can remember you. Please remove all my affection for my family members so I can always only think of you, right? Destroy whatever obstacles there are so that I can always remember you. So basically, she's praying for complete surrender, and she's praying for complete remembrance of the Lord, unbroken remembrance of the Lord. So it's very nice prayer. We can also remember some of these prayers, right? So Sutta Uvacha, so now conclusion, right? Sutta Goswami is saying, the Lord of Vaikunta, after hearing the prayers of Pruta is Kunti, composed in choice words, Kala Pade, very beautifully, poetically, Kunti Maharani has taken the trouble to offer these words of glorification for the pleasure of the Lord. Then what he did? He mildly smiled. The smile of the Lord is very amazing. That smile was Mohayan Eva Mayaya. The smile was mystifying. It was amazing. It was mysterious, completely bewildering. Now, Maya, there are two types of Maya. Maya can bewilder, Mohayan, Moha means bewilder. Maya can bewilder everyone, including the devotees. Now, the non-devotees, they are bewildered by Mahamaya in a different way. They become more and more detached from Krishna. They go further and further away from Krishna. Whereas the devotees are bewildered by Maya, but this is Yoga Maya, and they become closer and closer to Krishna because of that Yoga Maya. Their attraction and their rati becomes greater and greater by the potency of the Yoga Maya. So that is the difference. Just like how electricity can be used to heat, it can also be used to freeze, right? You can make something cold, you can make something hot with electricity. So this same energy of Maya can be used to push the jivas away from Krishna. It can also be used to make them closer to Krishna. So therefore, the smile of Krishna is so enchanting. It bewildered Kunti Maharani, but it bewildered her in a nice way. It made her more and more attracted to the Lord of Madhu, the Lord of sweetness. So Prabhupada says the word Maya is used both in the sense of delusion and mercy. Herein, the word Maya is used in the sense of the Lord's mercy upon Kunti Devi, because the Maya made her closer to the Supreme Lord. Right? So, just a little bit more. So, Srimati Kunti Devi prayed to the Lord just to enunciate a fragment of his glories. All his devotees worship him in that way by chosen words, and therefore the Lord is known as Uttama Sloka, one who is glorified with the best of poetry. That's another name of the Lord, Uttama Sloka. No amount of chosen words, however, is sufficient to enumerate the Lord's glory. Nothing we can say is enough, but yet he is satisfied by such prayers as the father is satisfied even by the broken linguistic attempts of the growing child. Just like the parent is satisfied when the baby or the child learns to speak, right? It speaks very cutely, broken words, broken language, but still it gives great delight for the parents just to hear. So in the same way, even though our attempts to glorify the Lord is not perfect, but the Lord is satisfied. It's very beautifully said by Srila Prabhupada. Right? Thus, accepting the prayers of Srimati Kunti Devi, the Lord subsequently informed other ladies of his departure by entering the palace of Hastinapura. But upon preparing to leave, what happens? He was suddenly stopped by King Yudhishthira, who implored him lovingly, Premna. So the Lord was still going to leave. But Yudhishthira Maharaj came. Yudhishthira Maharaj was very sad. There are several reasons why he's sad. One reason is because Krishna is going. There's another reason we will tell soon. So Yudhishthira Maharaj came and very pleadingly he implored the Lord, please stay just a little bit longer. And the word premna was used with loving. And what did the Lord do? He gave in. He decided to stay a little bit longer. So Prabhupada says the simple request that the Lord remain there for a few days more was immediately effective. Why? Because the power of King Yudhishthira's loving affection, which the Lord could not deny. So because Kunti Maharani asked, Yudhishthira Maharaj asked, the Pandavas asked, so the Lord decided to stay a bit more. Of course, he also had a purpose. The purpose we will come through in the next chapter. We are coming to the next chapter. So just the last two verses. King Yudhishthira, who was much aggrieved, could not be convinced despite. Now, King Yudhishthira was very sad for two reasons. One reason is because Krishna is leaving, but now Krishna is staying. But he was also sad because he felt he was the cause of the Mahabharata war. He felt the guilt. He felt that, so many people died, right? Therefore, he feels very sad. He could not be convinced, despite instructions by great sages, headed by Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva himself and all the other great sages tried to tell him, no, it's not your fault. This is part of the arrangement of the Lord. You have been perfect. Nothing you did wrong. Then Krishna also came and told Yudhishthira, you did nothing wrong. You only acted according to my will. These people were all killed anyway. So instructions by Krishna himself, the performer of Adbhuta Karmana. Krishna performs great miracles. And one of the great miracles he's creating now is that he's putting Yudhishthira into illusion. Just like how he put Arjuna into illusion in the Bhagavad Gita, right? So now he's putting Yudhishthira Maharaj, the son of Dharmaraj, into illusion. So why he's doing that? There is a reason. And Yudhishthira Maharaj was sad. He was very, very, very sad. Even the sages, Vyasadeva, even Krishna saying also couldn't change his heart. He was blaming himself. He was very, very sad. All historical evidence also could not convince him. Just like Arjuna. Arjuna also was feeling the same way when the Bhagavad Gita was about to be spoken. He blamed himself. He said, no, I shouldn't. Why should I fight? I should just go. Never mind if they kill me. Then Yudhishthira was also saying, the same thing. So Maharaj Yudhishthira's lamentation. So Prabhupada explains, as Paramatma, King Yudhishthira uh, had Paramatma in his heart. So Paramatma did not allow King Yudhishthira to be convinced by the words of Vyasa and others, including himself. So Krishna didn't allow Yudhishthira Maharaj purposely to be convinced, because there is something he wanted to do after this, right? Purposely he put Yudhishthira Maharaj into illusion so that Yudhishthira Maharaj cannot be convinced. But this is also the nature of saintly people. The saintly people always are very quick to blame themselves and very slow to blame others. So when a saintly person is put into illusion, this is what he does. He blames himself. When a demonic person is put into illusion, he blames other people first. He will never accept his mistake. So we have to understand, right? So Raja Dharma Sutta. So it's interesting that they use the verse here, Dharma Sutta. The son of Dharma, the king who is the son of Dharma, became illusioned about Dharma. The son of Dharma became illusioned about Dharma by the power of Krishna's bewilderment. That's why he was called Adbhuta Karma. Amazing things he does, Krishna. So Raja Dharma Sutta, King Yudhishthira became overwhelmed by the death of his friends, was aggrieved just like a common materialistic man. Therefore, now Sutta Goswami is telling, O Vipra, thus, O sages, thus deluded moha by affection, he began to speak. What did he speak? So Prabhupada is saying, a Kshatriya is bound to fight for the right cause, regardless of the opposite party, and not be disturbed by annihilation of the material body. So a Kshatriya must do his duty. He mustn't be worried about family. He mustn't be worried about his, killing. So just like how Arjuna was worried about. So they did his duty, but now Yudhishthira Maharaj is haunted by all this due to the bewilderment by Krishna. So Yudhishthira Maharaj said, oh my lord, aho, I am so unfortunate. I am the most sinful man, duratmanaha, most sinful, the most lowest of men. Just see my heart, which is full of ignorance, ajnanam. This body, which is ultimately meant for others, has killed many, many Akshavinis. One Akshavini is having a ratio of 20, 20, 100, 60. That means 20,000 chariots, 20,000 elephants, 100,000 footmen, fighters, and 60,000 people on horses. So that's one Akshavini. So many hundreds of thousands. Huh? So many, many Akshavini have died. 18 Akshavinis have been killed in this Mahabharata war. Right? So many people have died. My body is meant for other people, right? But I have used this to kill other people. My goodness. So he becomes very upset. And he says, I have killed, right? I have killed children, Bala, young people. All those who are teenagers, they also fought in the war. I have killed Dvija, Brahmana, Dronacharya, right? I have killed Suhrit. Suhrit means well-wishers, like Shalya, the king. I have killed Mitra, friends, like Ashwatthama. There are other people also in the Kaurava side who are friends. I have killed Pitr, father, grandfather-like figures like Bhishma. I have killed brother, right? Even in Sanskrit is brother. Brother means brothers. I have killed brothers like the Kauravas. I have killed Guru like Dronacharya. Though I live Ayudha Varsa, though I live for Ayudha Varsa, that means millions of years, I will not be relieved from the hell that awaits me for all these sins. So in this way, Yudhishthira Maharaj, a very saintly person, he is in lamenting. There is no sin for a king who kills for Praja Bhartur Dharma. There is no sin for someone who kills for protecting the citizens in the name of Dharma. But this injunction is not applicable to me because the people were not in trouble. They were living happily only. Duryodhana was taking care of the citizens. There was no need to kill Duryodhana just for that. So this rule is not applicable to me. I have killed many friends of women, and I have thus caused droha to such an extent to my so many people have become widows, so many husbands I have killed, right? Therefore, I have created droha to the people of this city, people of this world. I have created droha to such an extent that it is not possible to undo it by material welfare work. Simply by doing the Ashwamedha Yagya, for example, right? So he says, as it is not possible to filter muddy water through mud or purify a wine-stained pot with wine. So that's an interesting point. If a jar or a glass holds alcohol, it's considered contaminated. You cannot purify it. You have to throw it away, right? So a wine-stained pot with wine cannot be purified. So in the same way, it is not possible to counteract the killing of men by sacrificing animals. So they sacrifice the horse, right, to perform the Ashwamedha Yagya. So Maharaj Yudhishthira saying, I don't see that this is going to save me. So in this way, he became completely disturbed, and this sets the scene for chapter 9. So we stop over here. This is the end of chapter 8, and we move on to chapter 9. What will happen? What is Krishna's plan for putting Yudhishthira Maharaj into lamentation? When Arjuna was put into lamentation, Bhagavad Gita was spoken. When Yudhishthira Maharaj is being put into lamentation, we are going to hear a very beautiful chapter in Srimad Bhagavatam. Right? So we end over here. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for listening and also for your time. So if there are any questions, we can address it. So there is one question by Siva Kumar Prabhu. Why Vaikuntanath was used and not Goloka? Well, the Lord is expressed in different ways. Sometimes Kunti Maharani calls the Lord, Madhupati, but sometimes she also calls him Vishwa Atma. So different names are used, right? So the Lord of Vaikunta. So here, because Krishna here is coming as Vasudev Krishna. He is not the Shamasundar Krishna from Goloka Vrindavan. Remember, when Krishna left Goloka Vrindavan, his expansion continued to Mathura. The original Krishna, Shamasundar Krishna, remained in Goloka Vrindavan. So therefore, the expansion is Vasudev Krishna, and Vasudev Krishna went to Mathura, went to Dwaraka, and then later he also expanded in other ways. So probably that's the reason. But I'm not exactly sure why Vaikuntanath was used. Sometimes, he also, Kunti Maharani's mood is not really the mood of Vrindavan. Her mood is to some extent Aishwarya. Of course, there is some sweetness. It's basically the mood of, there is a bit of Aishwarya in it. So probably that was the reason it was used. I don't know exactly. Any other questions? You can ask this question to any Maharaj disciples, any Maharajas that come. All right, so if there is nothing else, no other questions, thank you very much for your time again. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Sri Krishna ki jai.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.